Hello and welcome to Cutting Up with Kathy. Today my project, I'm using the Sunrise Sailing Bundle, the stamp set, the coordinating dies, and also we're going to be working with the hybrid embossing folder which embosses and dies at the same time. Here's my finished card that we're going to be working on, so let's get started. The first thing I want to start with is my card base. I'm using Whisper White and this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Next I'm cutting my card front. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to be using the embossing folder, and you'll notice when you open it up, here's two different sailboats. The one on the left is for the die cutting and the one on the right is for the embossing. So the first thing I want to do with my card is I want to emboss it. So I'm going to turn it over so I can see where I want my card. In this project, I want the boat to the left. So I don't want it all the way over because I want it to be a shadow for my boat. And you want the card straight. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to adhere it in place. I'm going to run it through the embossing machine. Even though this embossing folder does not say it's 3D, it works better if you use the 3D format, which is right on your cutting plate, your base plate. So you use your base plate, which is number 1, your embossing folder with the project, and then the number 4 plate, which is a specialty plate. And this you purchase separately. I'm going to cut out another boat and I'm going to place it on my card front. This is what my card looks like. I took my card front and glued it to the front of my base card. The sentiment I'm going to use is "You're destined for great things." I'm going to stamp it in this area right in here beside the boat. I'm using balmy blue ink and I want to stamp it right here. Now I'm going to make some waves. I'm taking 3 balmy blue strips. These are 4 by 1 inches. I'm going to take my embossing folder and I'm going to emboss these 3, but I'm going to turn them at an angle so that the waves aren't straight. And I'm going to take each one and I'm going to tear it slightly just to kind of give it a creative look. So I'm going to start with the bottom and line it up with a border around it. I'm going to take my liquid glue and I'm just going to glue it on the sides and the bottom. I'm going to lay it down and center it, leave it a little bit at the bottom and adhere it. I'm going to do the same thing and lay it, and I'm going to lay this underneath it so it creates a 3D effect. And the last one, just kind of lay that under. I'm going to take my sailboat that I cut out. I'm going to add it to the water. I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals for the sail just to kind of pop it up a little bit. And I don't know that we even need to put glue at the bottom of it. So you can see, if you can see the boat here is embossed. I'm going to stick it right underneath here, kind of close to it. So it kind of gives it a 3D look. I'm going to add some birds to the front of my card, and I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to take my card front, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to take the little bird and randomly stamp it on my card in Night of Navy. I'm going to try it out first before I stamp it on my card. So you can just make it different ways, and this kind of works perfect. So I'm going to kind of put random birds. Now I'm going to take the waves and I'm just going to come through the top of each and kind of pull it forward for a wavy look. Kind of bend it a little bit. That kind of gives it a 3D look. The last thing I want to do is I want to embellish my envelope so that it coordinates with my card. And I cut a piece of balmy blue. This is 6 by 2 1/4. And I ran it through the embossing folder. I'm going to take my envelope and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue not too close to the edges because this will run. And I take this piece and line it up with the edge. Make sure it's covering both sides. And then I just tap it down and run it over it. And then I just take my paper snips and just cut around it. So that completes our card. I hope you've enjoyed my card today, and thank you for joining me. My inspirational thought today is when he speaks to the seas. In Mark 4, Jesus and his disciples were on the shore by the seaside, and the multitude came. Many came to hear Jesus speak. Jesus began to speak to the people in parables, in stories, so that they could hear and understand. And when Jesus was done speaking, it was late in the day. So he sent the multitude away to go to their homes. Jesus told his disciples, let's get in the boat and let's go to the other side of the shore. So Jesus and his disciples all got in the boat, headed to the other side of the sea. All was calm and all was smooth. They were all in the boat sailing along when suddenly a great wind and a storm arose out of nowhere. The waves began to beat against the boat. The boat was swaying back and forth. Water was coming inside the boat. They were there in the midst of a raging sea. But where was Jesus? What was he doing? When they were in the storm, when they needed him most, they didn't know where he was. Does he not know what's happening? Does he not know the storm is raging? The water's crashing in on us, coming in our boat. We're about to sink. We're about to drown. They found Jesus in the back of the boat. He was asleep on a pillow. They woke him up. Don't you know what's happening? What's going on? We're in the middle of the sea. We're in the middle of a storm. We're about to sink. Don't you care? They asked Jesus, how can you sleep with all this going on? Teacher, they said, don't you care that we perish? Don't you know what's happening? Don't you know there's a storm raging? Jesus arose from his sleep, said a simple word. He spoke to the sea and said, peace be still. He rebuked the winds and said, peace be still. Immediately, suddenly, in an instant, there was a change. The wind had ceased. All was peaceful. All was calm. In our lives, we can be going through life, all is good, all is well, when we have a suddenly, when storms arise, when problems, issues, there's sickness, there's hurt, there's pain. We seem to be tossed around by the waves crashing in on us, afraid that we're going to sink, that we're going to drown. We can be shaken, afraid, in despair. We see no answer. We see no way out, no solutions to our problem. We can't save ourselves. We can't find the answer. And we ask, Jesus, where are you? I don't feel you. I don't know where you're at. I don't hear you. I don't see anything happening. Don't you know what we're going through? Don't you know that we're struggling? And then we'll have a suddenly when Jesus speaks to our problems. And he'll say, peace be still. Mark 4:39 says, and he arose and he rebuked the wind. And he said unto the sea, peace be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. Psalms 23 says, he maketh me to lay down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still water. So when we're going through our storms, he will speak to the seas and calm our storms. Thank you so much for joining me today. May you be blessed and have a great day.